Hi everyone that's just joining us. We're just waiting for a few more people to join. There is a poll in the corner, which I see most of you have had a look at. Just while we wait for a few more people to join us, if you can answer the questions, that'd be great. All of the poll questions are anonymous, so it's not like we're going to be checking up on your answers. It's interesting to see how they all change as more people answer the questions. Funding's not as high on the list as I thought it was going to be, actually. Right, shall we make a start?
Yep.
So you probably know me and Charlotte by now already. Most people have joined us on webinars before, but just in case you don't, I'm Sarah. I'm a regional sales manager for Abilia, and I'm going to pass you over to Charlotte to introduce herself and talk about the first slide.
Hi everybody, I'm Charlotte and I work for the education side of Abilia. Sarah and I have done a few of these webinars where we've kind of crossed over Sarah's knowledge and my knowledge to kind of come together in the middle. The first slide we wanted to show you today was just to talk about the people that we have supported and the people that we can support. Obviously assistive technology can be so personal, so obviously what works for one individual may not work for the next individual, even though their diagnosis may be similar or the same. And so it is a very individual process of kind of working out what's the right solution for the right person. But we can support people with communication needs, people with learning disabilities and difficulties, autism, ADD, ADHD, people who've experienced stroke, people with dementia, people with physical disabilities, and people with acquired brain injuries and traumatic brain injuries. So it's quite a wide range and a variety of people that assistive technology can support. And so what we're aiming to do is kind of look at the very high tech options, the very low tech options, because that way you can kind of get a bit of an idea of who we are, what we do, but also which conditions can be supported by which solutions and how those solutions can help those people.
So I'm going to quickly run through the call to our principle. If you've joined us before, you've probably heard this, but just to recap and to let anybody new that's joined us know how we work. So the call to our principle was developed by Abilia, and it's developed to make time visible. So as we go through all the different products that we're going to look at today, you'll see that all of our products have a timeline, and all of those have coloured dots. They might vary between products, but all of the dots run vertically down the each product, and every 15 minutes one of the coloured lights goes out. There's 4 to an hour, obviously, and quite often people say, oh, how will people know that this equates this? And for the user, all that they need to know is that time is passing. So as the dots disappear, they can see that the next activity is getting closer or the end of an activity is getting closer. And it's based on the premise that most people will understand what's more or less. So the call to our principle, like I say, underpins all of our cognition range. And it really does make time visible, which is quite an abstract concept for a lot of the people that we support to understand. So we're going to have a look at a couple of our low-tech solutions first. Charlotte's going to talk through them with you. Then we'll have a look at the high-tech solutions. And we have a quick comparison at the end between the Memo Day Planner and the Memo Planner, because we get a lot of questions over which one's which and what's the difference. So I'm going to pass you over to Charlotte.
So this solution is I guess our lowest tech solution. It's our memo timer, and it comes in 4 different time options. Essentially, the red lights down the side kind of reduce down for every bit of time that goes past. And as Sarah said, it's not about quantity in terms of time, in terms of exact minutes. It's just about quantity in terms of more and less, which is very easy to understand when there's red lights flashing. It can manage things like anxiety and stress in terms of when things will happen, when things will end, how long until a member of a family is going to come and visit someone, how much until a stressful situation like a haircut might be finished, how long someone should spend in the shower, how long someone should spend on a task before moving on to the next task. It's quite a straightforward solution. It can vibrate, it can be alarmed, and it can kind of be tailored to each individual need. So if you've got someone who is very tactile, as I say, it can vibrate as well as alarm. It can be taken into the shower and the bathroom, so that those situations, if someone's in there for 30 minutes in the shower, they can instead take a 6-minute timer or an 8-minute timer, and it's not going to break. It's quite a robust bit of kit. As I say, it does come in 4 different time slots. So there's 8, 20, 60 and 80. We actually use these at home. I have a 14-year-old who has autism, and we use the 60-minute timer on a daily basis with him for school-related tasks, especially whilst we've been at home learning. It's been really, really useful. We found he's very willing and very receptive to technology, but he's also very receptive to just the fact that there's no sensory overload, in the sense that I'm talking to him constantly going 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, which is obviously a great amount of stress for someone who doesn't really understand the concept of time or struggles with the concept of time. So yeah, we've used these quite a lot during the lockdown over the last few months, which has been fantastic for us. And yeah, they can be used, as I say, with a huge kind of variety of conditions. And as I say, for us, we've used it for our autistic 14-year-old, but with dementia care settings, and with residential settings, with schools, they can be used quite well and quite successfully as a time management tool.
I'm going to quickly chat through one of our case studies for the Memo Timer. And it's something that's used really successfully in Cornwall. I think we might have some people from Cornwall College Group on this afternoon. And the Memo Timer was put in to help a group of college students with special needs to time and manage their breaks. They were kind of confined, it sounds awful, confined to one part of the school, because when the students were going off for breaks and lunches, they quite often didn't come back at the right time. And by making sure that they had access to certain areas of the school, it meant that the teachers could go off and find them and bring them back to class. Now, when the students come in the morning, their Memo timers, they wear them on their lanyards around their neck. And as soon as they go off for a lunch break or a morning break, they set their timers. As soon as their timers go off, then they come back to class. And this has been a phenomenal success for Cornwall, and it's been really good to see how it's changed the learners and also changed for them break times, because at lunchtime now they have access to the whole campus, and as long as they come back when their timers go off, then they're not losing the learning time that they were before. I should say at the bottom, there's going to be a few slides going through with case studies on. At the bottom of each slide, there's the link to our website that has the full case study on there.
So this solution is our Memo Day Planner, which is, I guess, our next step up from the Memo Timer. It runs on a very similar principle. It's got the light pillar down the side that shows kind of more, less, and how far through the day you are. Essentially, it does a kind of very similar role in that it plans time, and you can magnetize images as well as sort of writing on it like a whiteboard. This is the one that we've used at home again during lockdown for my 2 children, to just keep them in a bit of a regular kind of routine and work on that. We found it's a huge tool for our teenager for autonomy, because obviously he wants independence. He wants to know that he can kind of do what he needs to do, and that he doesn't have to be kind of supported with that. So this has really increased those skills for him. As I say, there's the red light pillar on the left hand side that counts down during the day, and then the right side lights up blue for the evening, which is very, very good, because it's a visual reminder of where in the day you are. It can also be alarmed. So if you've got a vital task like a medication or something, someone's coming to visit, you can set an alarm. And it, again, gives you those kind of visual reminders, and it can be adapted in terms of age and reading skills. So it can be very adapted to each individual's needs, which is really, really lovely. We're going to pass over to Sarah again for another case study for the Memo Day Planner, which I really, really love.
So this is a copy of Brian's board, or this is his actual board, to be fair. And Brian is from Huntington Older People's Team, or looked after by Huntington Older People's Team, and he was living independently. But he very often missed care calls. He was very often gone for a wander, usually to the local charity shop to pick up some stuff that he would try and give to us every time we visited. But it was causing issues with him living by himself, because if he missed the care call, then the carers had to try and get back at a later time. And obviously he was missing things like breakfast calls, lunch calls, dinner calls, and welfare checks in the evening. So we tried this with Brian. He was really happy with it. He can tell the morning carers would come in first thing. They would write down what time his care calls are going to be and exactly who was coming for him. On top of that, there was any doctor's appointments or any other appointments that he needed added in. So it was quite a simple solution for Brian. There's not a huge amount on there. It was literally just the care calls that he needed help with. And they had 100% success in the first week with Brian, and then went on to purchase a board for him. So he's now very happily living at home with his Memo Day Planner. The alternative would have been to move him into supported living, which he wasn't keen on. But he had an elderly sister that also looked after him that was quite a distance away. And so the outcome for Brian has been absolutely amazing. The fact that he's been able to stay at home for such a simple solution, and obviously cost savings as well from moving him into an assisted living home. So all in all, it's been a really lovely outcome, and it was a pleasure to be part of this trial with Brian. So we're going to move on to the more high-tech solutions that we have. Charlotte's going to talk through the handy calendar, just so you don't hear me talking all the time, and then I'll talk through the case studies that we have with each one.
So Handy Calendar is an app that's available on iOS and on Android, and can be downloaded onto a tablet or to a smartphone. It's very simple to navigate, very easy to navigate, very easy to it's very intuitive. You log in and it gives you just a calendar view. You can have a day view, a week view, a month view. And again, it's the same kind of principle. It gives you your countdown, so it gives you your sense of time in terms of where you are, where you're due next, what's coming next. This is an example of one that my teenager uses at school, but as I say, I mean, it can be used for a very big variety of conditions. So it creates checklists for regular routines as well as just the routine. You can use it for speech support, so if someone presses the voice button, it can read out the instructions they need to follow. You can input addresses, which can take you then to Google Maps, so that you've got a direct kind of guide as to where you need to go physically. You can put an emergency contact number in there, and you can add in URLs to increase things like independence. I know Sarah uses it for cooking and recipe ideas for one of her people that she suggested, which was a fantastic idea. So it's a link to a website which I think gives kind of ideas for recipes and takes you obviously through a step by step, which was a fantastic idea. It runs on the same principle in that it's got the dots counting down each day in each section. So each activity that you go into shows you your dots, shows you your countdown. So the user has got a very kind of tangible sense of time and a very tangible sense of where they are during the day. But again, it works very much on that autonomy focus. So it's not about support workers kind of taking over. It's about the user having a sense of independence, which is a really good start for us. And I think we're going to look at a case study for Handy Calendar next. Yes.
So Sandra, who may or may not be on the call actually, Sandra Gaston is one of the people that use our handy calendar. She's also a special occupational therapist and works in Kent County Council in their autism outreach team. She used handy calendar with her son to take him through university. And as you can see from the slide, it kind of reminded him the everyday stuff that sometimes the people that we support struggle with. My son in particular, same as Charlotte, and probably most of you know, I have a 14-year-old autistic son as well. And he can quite easily manage his day, but when it comes to things like showering or putting on deodorant, brushing his teeth, eating when he's not in a routine, all of these things a handy calendar helps him manage. And we have a full case study again online for Sandra and her son, but I know that it meant a lot for Sandra to be using this. And on the case study it says in there that they were able to go away, her and her husband, for the first time in many years, knowing that Sam had his handy calendar and those things were being run for him. Excuse me. And it's also obviously worth a mention that the handy calendar is now DSA approved. So any students looking to go to university, or anyone that you're supporting with university applications, then DSA assessors will be able to help you access the handy calendar and the funding for that. Is there anything you wanted to add to that one, Charlotte? Charlotte's kind of the expert with education.
No, Steve has just asked a really, really good question though. He's just said, with the handy calendar, can people add tasks onto this from another device, or does this need to be all done on the app? I'll let you answer that because you're the genius on the remote support, but that's a really good question for handy calendar and Memo Planner.
Yeah, and it's something we was going to touch on after the Memo Planner, which is another digital device similar to the handy calendar. Both the handy calendar and the Memo Planner can be managed from an online account called Abilia. So this comes in with your subscription to the handy calendar, and you can access that either through an app or through any browser. And attached to one user's account, you can have multiple support people. So the support people could be parents, it could be family members, it could be carers that are looking after somebody, it could be somebody that's helping somebody through work experience or school or college, and you can add as many support people as you need to that person's calendar. So the answer to your question is yes, it can be managed. You can add things, you can make updates. If you do make an update, for instance, if someone's got a dentist appointment at say 11 o'clock and it's been changed to 12 o'clock, you can change it in their calendar and straight away they will get a message to say that there's been a change to their calendar. And then that person will obviously see that their appointment's been moved or something's been added. It also is great for carers that are needing to check on things like if somebody's taken their medication, because you could go on and see what activities have been checked off. So important activities you can make checkable on both the Memo Planner and the handy calendar. And then you can go into somebody's day and see that they've checked off this, this and this. And also gives you an insight into things that they may be struggling with. If there's something on there, for instance, we use it quite a lot with people for life skills. So teaching somebody how to do their washing. If they haven't ticked off that they've done their washing that day, then that gives you a really good idea that maybe they're struggling with that one activity, so that you can arrange to put targeted support in to go back over that activity with someone. So it gives you a really good idea of how somebody is coping with managing their own day. I'll quickly just talk over the Memo Planner. Like I say, it's slightly different to the handy calendar in the way that it looks. And it is a dedicated device. So when you purchase a Memo Planner, you purchase the hardware as well. You can see in this picture that there is a large version for the wall. There's also a general tablet size version. And you have an app. The app is currently available on Android only, but is being developed for iOS. The reason for that is that the tablets that it works with are Android, so it's always worked on Android. But hopefully we'll have the Apple version out soon. And that comes with the hardware, so you get the app as well, and obviously access to Abilia as well. It has slightly fewer functions, but we have a new version coming out in a few months' time, and they're constantly adding to it. The the main difference is access to the internet. So with the app, you can add in things like the URL to link to YouTube's videos or NHS sites for recipes, as Charlotte was just saying, and you can set up maps and things like that on it. With this one, this is a lockdown device, so you can only use it for your calendar. There is the opportunity to use it for Skype calling as well, which is also built into the device. But ultimately, this is a device that people using it cannot get onto the internet, so they won't be able to look at anything that they shouldn't be looking at. So that's the kind of the main differences between the handy calendar and the memo planner. And I am going to quickly just talk to you about Leonard Cheshire, who are using the memo planner large. They have this in or various different devices in a shared living accommodation. We're still in early days because we've got delayed due to the lockdown, so we haven't been able to go in and completely set up the whole thing, but we have a young gentleman that had started using it, and he was very not inclined to be involved in anything other than what was on his own agenda, and giving him the memo planner meant that he could be involved in setting his own routine. You could see on there, you can use photos, so he could take pictures of himself having a shave, for instance, and put that in there so he knew exactly what he was doing. And he had that autonomy over his own day, how it was set up and what it would look like. He's also a bit of a tech person, so he really likes the fact that he can have it on technology. And you'll see him in the bits that I've written on here. He's also really wanting to be a voiceover artist. So he's really had fun with voicing the there's a part on the memo planner where you can record your own voice instead of just having typed in titles, and then it will read it to you. So he's been having great fun setting those up. I am going to just quickly, before we go on to this one, bear with me because I'm going to screen share. Can you see my camera?
No, not yet.
It worked so well, didn't it?
It really did. It looked beautiful.
In test.
There we go. Yeah, it's happening.
Okay. Right, get back onto the debut. So we just wanted to show you a comparison of the two boards, because obviously Memo Planner, Memo Day Planner, they're quite similar, and we quite often get asked, which one do I need and what's the difference? So this one here is your Memo Day Planner. This is our low-tech board. And as we've discussed, we have the light pillar to show you what time has passed, what time is still to come, the nighttime pillar here as well. And you can set alarms up on this, so you could alarm things like medication if it was something important. That's a standalone device. If you purchase this, it's only this. There's no kind of cloud accounts or anything like that. It doesn't link with anything. It's specifically supposed to be low tech. It's probably one of our most popular boards with carers as well. There's not a huge amount that a carer would need to do to learn to use this. You're literally just writing on the daily timetable. This one over here is our memo planner. So this is the one that is an Android dedicated device, and this is the one where you can have the large wall version and the small version, as well as the app as well. So that means that if the large wall version's at home, then you'll still have the app available to have when you're out and about as well, which will have all the same information. So you've got the digital version and you've got the low tech version. And it really depends on the user as to who would use which. And that's something that we are quite happy to kind of go through and discuss with you over which solution would be the best. So hopefully I'm back again. I just need to pop the slides back in. Right, that should be back to those.
Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at just the differences quickly between each product. We often get asked if there's any kind of diagnostic tool available yet as to which product is best for each individual. And as we've spoken about, we're quite open and direct about the fact that obviously each solution has its kind of pluses and its minuses for each individual. And this PDF is literally just a kind of outline of which solution does what, and what they can achieve and what the individual can achieve by using them. It's not in any way kind of a diagnostic tool in terms of it's a guaranteed yes, it will fit that person. It just gives you an outline of all the way from kind of the very low tech to the Memo Planner, which is the most kind of tech specific or the high tech obvious solution, and just gives you an idea of what you can do with each individual solution. We are also going to just ask another quick poll for this one. Sorry, bear with me. This one about where funding for personal equipment is currently coming from, and where people find that it's coming from. Whilst we flick to the next and final slide.
We've also we've got the chat box, which I think most questions have been answered. But if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat box. We've left a little bit of time at the end to go through any questions that people have. And obviously we've got our polls. We've also got in the files section is the downloadable product guides for each of the things that we've spoken about today. And there's also the price list as well. Quite often we get asked about prices while we're on the webinar, so we've added that in this week, so you can download the prices yourself. Because when we talk about memo timers, memo planners, memo day planners, it's quite difficult to kind of keep up with the prices when people are asking. So the price list is on there, and there's pictures of every single product on there, as well as links to our website and all the product codes as well. So the prices are not on the website, so we wanted to share that price list with you. So there is one more poll that we wanted to ask you, if you don't mind sticking with us for a couple of minutes just to answer the last poll. It's good to see that the assistive tech team has is purchasing this as well. It's one of the budgets, and funding is kind of always a barrier for things like this, because although we know that they are amazing products and they can help people stay in work and stay in college and get work and all these different things, there doesn't seem to be a particularly huge amount of money floating around to support cognition. And this one, again, this is we can't see who's answering the questions, so we won't be contacting you based on your answers to this questions. It's just for us to gauge whether or not our webinars are successful and you're enjoying it, and you would like to have a demo at some time. If you have said yes, like I said, we can't see the answers to your question. So if you have said yes, drop us an email and we can put you on the list to either contact, like we say, after lockdown is over. We are doing all our demos via the webcam that you saw just a minute ago. So we can do a full product demo remotely. So if you are interested in having the remote web demo, then please, like I say, just drop us an email and we can arrange a time, whether it's when lockdown's over or over the next few months. And we find it often works really well virtually, actually.
Yeah, I think we've kind of found ways to kind of get around all of the remote solutions now, haven't we? To try and kind of make sure that we can do those things remotely. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for us.
Right, we have a few questions. Trina said that the funding can come from a variety of places, and we also work with some charities as well that do provide some of our equipment funding for.
Okay, so Emily has asked, we have some service users that would benefit from the day planner, the high-tech versions of the Memo Day Planner. would they all need a separate Memo Day Planner, or could one be displayed somewhere central in the home and they could access their individual schedules on the Memo Day Planner?
At the moment, they would all need their own Memo Planner, because if you have more, we found if you have more than one account on one, it looks too busy, so everyone would need their own one. We are I know in the roadmap for the coming, it could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, we have looked at the possibility of maybe being able to flick in and out of each other's accounts. Obviously, we need to look at the GDPR implications of that, because there's going to be private information such as doctor's appointments or family visits. So it's something that is being looked at, because it's been asked a few times, but practically it's better for people to have their own Memo Day planners. If it's something that you would like to have in a shared room, then you can have a generic account that maybe has all of the information for the daily workings of that home, and people can come and have a look at it, and then they would have their own separate ones in their room on their own device. So it could be that you have a large one in the room, in a shared area, but then individual schedules on maybe the smaller one if you didn't want everybody to have the large one in their rooms. But as I say, it's one of those things that has been suggested before. One thing I should say is that all of our products have their own development team. So each individual product has their own development team. So anything that's fed back to us goes straight back to the development team to have a look at the viableness of whether or not we can add those things in. And I say that with this one, it's literally just the GDPR aspect of being able to go in and out of each other's account on a shared device. But it's something that's come up before.
Magdalena's just asked if she can have a copy of the slides after the webinar, so I can email those over to you, and to anybody else if anybody wants them.
And we will send out a recording as well.
Yeah. So yeah, those are available. We'll get them straight over to you, and to anyone who wants to rewatch it, we are hoping to get it posted out straight away. So so it will be available if there's anything that you've missed or anything that you want to recap on.
I think that's all of the questions. As I say, if you would like to book a demo with us, then please just drop us a line and let us know. We don't want to be hassling everybody that's joined our webinars. If you just drop us an email, then that we're happy to sort that out for you. And if that's online or if it's face-to-face when we can come back out and visit people, then we'll be only too happy to get out and actually speak to real people again and come out and do some demos. But for now, if you've got any further questions, you can keep adding them to the checkbox for another 5 or 10 minutes and they'll come through to us. If not, please drop us an email. You've got our contact details. So thank you. And thanks everybody for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, everybody.